Since 2003, this is the Sports Source, East Tennessee's #1 sports talk show.
Brought to you by Junk Be Gone and the Garza Law Firm.
With your host, John Pennington. The Sports Source starts now.
Good Sunday morning. Welcome into the Sports Source. Happy to have you with us on this Easter Sunday. It's a lovely day out there. Hope you have a good Easter today. Thank you for being with us. We have Josh Heupel to talk about. We have spring practice to talk about. We have transfers in and out. We have coaches moving, all on the basketball side of things. Lots to cover over the next 90 minutes, so let's just dive right into it. This first segment of our program brought to you by our friends at Junk Be Gone. It's spring cleaning time. April's here. That means I'm going to have a great big Junk Be Gone driveway dumpster at my house in the coming weeks. I use them every year. These guys make the work of getting old junk, old furniture, or what I do, which is stuff if I haven't used it in a year, it's gone. If I haven't touched it in a year, that's my way of keeping things clean. So Junk Be Gone's who I call. They make that job for you easy. And here's the thing. If you've got some big stuff you want to move out of your house and you don't want to move it yourself, they have a team that can come in and grab it, take it out for you. Junk Be Gone, check them out, junkbegone.biz, to learn more about all the many services they provide. Great locally owned, family-owned company. All right, let's welcome in the panel for today. We have from WNML, Josh Ward, where folks can hear him Monday through Friday from noon to 3. Right next to him from WNML, folks can hear him from 3 to 7 every day. That's Jimmy Himes. Jimmy and Josh, thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Same for Chuck Cavaleris down there, longtime sports writer in this town, longtime radio, TV, stands on the corner with a megaphone and a sandwich board. Chuck Cavaleris, thanks for joining us.
Great to be here.
All right. UT is now moving into week 3 of spring practice. The coaches are saying many of the things that new coaches say. You know, the guys are working hard. They're learning what we want from them, et cetera, et cetera. But I want to know if there's the usual amount of juice, of buzz, energy, because and you guys may have a different view of it. You guys deal radio with some talk shows. You're active on Facebook, Chuck. But from my perspective, I don't know that I'm hearing the usual amount of buzz with this program in spring practice that we would normally have. Partially that could be we're still in a bizarre world in terms of COVID and pandemic. Yeah. But in terms of interest, I think there was more interest when Tennessee was canceling spring practice last year than there is this year in what's going on. Agree? Disagree? Is there the usual amount of buzz or juice for this program at the moment?
I think a lot of it is more curiosity, and it's can Josh Heupel win? What's the defense going to be like? Can the offense score points? Who's going to be the quarterback? Is Henry To'oTo'o and Quavaris Crouch going to re-enroll? I find some of that going on with the interest. I don't find as much, as far as the curiosity, but as far as the interest, there's not been a great deal of it. I'll say this, though. I do appreciate the fact that the coaching staff and the players have been more readily available for the media and Zoom meetings, which can kind of stir up some interest and stir up some stories. But from my perspective right now, I find a lot more curiosity.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think there's so many kind of distracting storylines that affect people from getting too excited about what's going on with football right now, the transfer portal. And guys, like leading up to the start of practice, there was as much talk about Henry To'oTo'o and Quavaris Crouch, would they be available, as opposed to the guys who are actually on the team practicing this spring. Then you had the suspensions, and then you find out on the first day of practice, well, Caden Salter's one of those players that's suspended, so you're talking about that as much as what's going on with the team. Still in a pandemic year. And then basketball. I think basketball closing out the season, that's taken some headlines as well. So that plus, I think fans are often taking let's wait and see how things are going to go because of what's happened over a long period of time now.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like two things. I think, didn't you have that phase where all football activities are suspended due to COVID, and so that kind of sets you back. I think a lot of Tennessee fans are just tired of being disappointed. There's not really anything right now to get excited about. Maybe there will be for the spring game. And like Jimmy said, it is good to hear, some of the interviews and the access and the praise for players and trying to make it fun. But, a lot of the Tennessee fans I talked to, that probably didn't get that excited about spring practice to begin with, And now it's just like after last season and all of the negative stories that have come out, pretty much over it for now.
And and see, that's where I wonder, nobody ever wants apathy in a program. And let's face it, one upset win over Florida or an upset win over Alabama and the apathy goes out the window. So it doesn't take a lot to get out, but nobody wants it to where you're just kind of yawning, where the fans are like, eh. But I wonder, have you finally hit, it's like buy in for Lane Kiffin, buy in for Derek Dooley, go brick by brick and buy into Butch Jones. Now you got Pruitt, and we got Fulmer back, and buying in for that, and now it's blown up so spectacularly with this last one. I just wonder if people are like, I'll be back when you fix it.
But wait and see.
Yeah, very much more wait and see than we've seen with previous coaches. Let me ask you this. Would it be different if they could have hired a bigger name? Would there, in other words, is this can part of this be blamed on the fact they got a guy that nobody expected them to go after? It was the best they could do, in my belief. But would they have more excitement in town if they'd hired Lane Kiffin, who I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole? But for an example, you would have more buzz, would you not?
Yeah.
Without question.
Yeah, maybe even Hugh Freeze, because there was the segment of the fan base. That was the buzz out there. And then it was like, we're settling again. We're not going to pay the coach. You hear that, even though you think
that's
it's wrong.
not it. Yeah.
I know. But yeah, I think it's just a combination of things. And on top of a year of dealing with COVID, that everybody's just kind of, I think, just tired and just waiting for something positive to happen.
Well, let me step on that here at the end of the segment, in case you haven't heard. Now, one slight positive is Caden Salter, who Josh mentioned, was suspended from the team, still is suspended from the team, but his case was dismissed in juvenile court. So that's good. He's going to have to go before the UT Student Conduct Board to get cleared there. Probably will, but at some point you expect him to come off suspension there. The other three players you're waiting on. With what might happen there. Jimmy, there's a fourth player that you reported this week isn't practicing, may be connected to that. Do you want to?
Yeah, James Robinson, he's a redshirt offensive lineman. He's in Montgomery. He was there when the incident occurred. He was never charged or arrested, but I think from precautionary reasons, Tennessee has held him out. He is not practicing.
And then, in case you missed it, this is being investigated by KPD, allegations of animal cruelty. I'll just say that Aaron Beasley, linebacker, is apparently being investigated for torturing a 6-month-old kitten that belonged to a girl on campus. He's lucky from this show standpoint that it's Easter Sunday, or I wouldn't say anything with any type of forgiveness involved. But I'm a big believer in second, third, and fourth chances, and he's not guilty yet. But if he is guilty, there's one time I'm not a believer in second chances and third chances when it comes to the football team, the privilege of playing a football. That's violence. Never thought I'd have to throw in violence toward an animal, but anyone who displays that's a window into that person's soul. And hopefully again, it's Easter, everybody gets second chances. Don't think that's one, if it's true, don't think that's one where you deserve a second chance to play football and represent Tennessee with an orange T on your helmet, in my view. Am I too harsh on that one? Torturing a 6-month-old kid?
The allegations are not good at all.
They're ugly. I'm not going to get into them. They've ticked me off.
Mm-hmm. No, if it's true, and nobody wants to sit here and be like a judge and jury, but if it's true, you need help on a different level, and that's what you need to address before you talk about football.
Yeah, and if it's true, I also think it's bad. Talk before the show. Not like you're deep at linebacker.
Yeah, and he's not a proven player at that position, but he is a player at that position. They don't have many of them right now because in that list of suspended players, 2 of them are linebackers, and Aaron Willis and Martavius French.
I will say this, Heupel won't get any credit for anything. Nobody's going to give you credit for the NCAA stuff, for what you recruit, for what you inherited. If you lose games, that's all fans are going to focus on. In 3 years, and even those who right now are saying, well, he inherited a mess, in 3 years they're just going to be looking at total wins, total losses. And they're not going to remember, well, he did boot this guy and he did have to deal with that. But in your first year, I think it's a good time to say, here's what we're about as a team. This won't be accepted, you're gone. Get off campus. My guess is if this is true, Heupel's not going to have to do anything because the UT Student Conduct Board will throw this kid so far off campus he'll need a passport.
Yeah, if it's true, this is easy.
It should be absolutely a no-brainer.
Yep.
So, Okay, well, let's hope it's not true, but police are investigating, and the allegation, the stories
One quick
are
note, I
awful.
think the Student Judicial Board is going to meet this week. That's what I have been told. So they will, at that point, hand out whatever accusations, punishment, or whatever to the players that have been suspended.
And that's for the previous issue.
The previous
Yeah.
issue,
Yeah.
not with BC,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, very good. When we come back, let's talk about Tennessee's offensive line. In terms of their too deep there, there's some interesting names that I don't think we would have been talking about before practice started. Let's take a look at the offensive line next on the Sports Source. Going back.